It's Mal and it's Kels.
So here we are. We're talking about this today because as we move through season 2 of No Surprises on the Creative Process, right? One of the bigger points that came out in pre-season research was this importance of taking breaks. And we had a lot of guests that we were eyeing, and no one really, this feels like it applies to almost everyone. So the idea is that, when you're a creator, there's a couple of ways you set yourself up. And I went on a deep dive in some research land, one of my favorite things. And I started reading this book, The Art of Thought by Graham Wallace. It was originally published in 1926, but essentially what it was the first way in which someone had sort of theorized and put forth this idea of stages in a creative process. And so this is still sort of remains true today. The book went out of print and it came back into print pretty recently, I want to say. But these stages there's this process of preparation. So that's the research you do, whatever. So in effect, in the meta world, reading a book about the creative process was me preparing for this. Then there's this moment of incubation. Incubation is kind of what we're talking about right now. So it's this taking a break, walking away moment. There's illumination, which is when that idea bubbles to the surface. And then there's verification. Verification is just the testing of these ideas, and just seeing if they in fact work and working on them themselves. So we're talking about incubation because when you're building something really creative, when you're working on something that's visual or designy or whatever, a lot of times you get to a point where you have to, I don't know, just generally ideate and come up with something cool. And in those moments, taking a break is important. I actually did it with the marketing team as we were preparing for this season. As I was reading this book, I posed to the group a question: how do you nurture creativity? And I said, okay, cool. We're not talking about this again for 2 weeks. I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to note what kind of comes up, what comes to mind, what ideas bubble forth. And then we started brainstorming about the season. And yeah, between that and talking to some of our guests, it's just really important. People go out and take walks. They, one of our favorite ones at Week the Website is shutting down your laptop. But yeah, so that's why we're here in our self-care best, with our emotional support animals.
Yeah. We did a conversation one time, a little roundtable with the developers about, boundaries and holding your boundaries with clients. And Shelly started off by saying, is this an intervention? And I feel a little bit is this an intervention? Because I'm in definitely one of those hard grind periods where it's just it seems to be very hard to justify taking breaks. But at the same time, it's funny how your body and your brain just sort of overrides. Yesterday.
Well, think of it this way too. You're in the verification process. You're not, you're past this. So we're talking about that moment when you're you've got all these ideas bubbling forth and you're where do I put them? What does it become? How do I structure this?
Well, and I feel it's interesting because you kind of have to figure out how to microdose that during even the verification process, because it's you can come to things with a really clear idea, but then you hit a point where you're oh God, I have to think about this, because I'm sure you felt this way too, Mal. There's just points where you feel you're just pushing on a boulder that won't move. And you're oh, okay, I can't keep pushing on this until I stop and rest, right? Let my brain just sort of mellow and chill. And then that's when the fun ideas come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're dreaming up something, before it becomes a thing, before you start actually working on that thing, you live in this sort of nebulous world of your brain where you're just what is this going to become? How do I do this? And it's sort of collection of, and this is where I'm always like, this is why research is really important. This is why like reading and doing all like keeping up with what's going on the internet is important, because those things you just store in your mind grapes, right? You just let them simmer, you let them ferment, and you let them become the fine wines. Like there's really, you are the tool of creativity. It's really just like being like, it's not really natural for ideas to always just come off when you're.
Did you just call me a tool?
Yeah,
that's
you're
not appropriate.
But yeah, no, when you're using these ideas of taking a break or whatever. Yeah, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought just then because you said I called you a tool.
I get what you're saying though. Like you have to be able to kind of fill your internal library so that when your brain has a snippet of an idea and it's ready to go on its like journey of pulling different things together, there's stuff there. But if you're just constantly exhausting that source and you're not putting any new points of inspiration into the library, it's going to be hard when it comes time to innovate. And I think I've been loving, we introduced a design inspiration channel on our Slack, and this year our devs have just gotten like really into share, and not even our devs, I should say our team members. I love that we get from everybody, but like people will come across something they just think is cool on the internet and they'll just throw it in there. And I've found that channel to be so lovely, because it really is a place where your brain you can kind of just like shut off for a second and look through and like let your mind wander through some of these things that the people on your team think are cool, to kind of stock that like bank up, which is really fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that like to be a creator, you have to constantly be adding to this knowledge and learning more. And it's hard. That's like a whole lot to take in, but just like any sort of big life event, like you gotta let things simmer, you gotta let them process, you gotta take breaks, you gotta. That's why our marketing team takes breaks every couple months, because we're not machines. Like I know that there's AI out there and we can make it write things these days, but when we like quality over quantity, like instead of pushing out all of this content all of the time, it's sort of like take a break, let things simmer. Let's like package these ideas in a way that is really easy to follow, fun to follow. It's like a user journey.
Yeah, I find that hard to do. I find it hard to prioritize that, because I think the stakes for a lot of things feel really high right now. And it's just something that I feel like very challenged by. I don't tend to be a person who like has an idea and then will like take a lot of quiet time with it. I'm definitely someone who seems to ideate in a like more active space. So I think that that's something that I feel like you're very good at, and you have definitely helped encourage me to over the years. But for me, it's something I really struggle with, because I think I feel a lot of pressure to like constantly be moving to the next thing to keep progressing forward. And I know that that's not sustainable, but I also think like, this is just something that I'm like really going through in my own day-to-day life, is finding space for rest, because not to be my own therapy session, but like, it just feels like it's hard to justify taking that time, even though I know in my brain it's a part of the creative process.
Yeah. And I think it's just a part of sustainability.
Well,
can't keep running. Or as my therapist loves to tell me, she loves to remind me, she's like, you can't be with the momentum and you can't guide things. You can only do one, pick one. You can be the leader or you can be the momentum bringer. You got to pick one. Yeah, I mean, I think that taking breaks and taking pause was a hard learned lesson in my life. I am a churn and burner. I am constantly working on at least 10 projects at once. I understand that that is the thing that brings me a lot of joy and purpose in my life. And so I prioritize it, which means that after, I don't know, my 20th episode of absolute burnout and a mental breakdown, decided that it couldn't happen anymore. And that was because like I had to adjust to the own structure I had set up in my life. It's like, you know, you're choosing these things. I had chose that I choose this path of basically like, it's like the brain version of restless leg syndrome, or, you know, it's my a lovely, again, therapist, Sonia, likes to tell me, you know, people don't know what it's like in your head when they think about all of these things I'm constantly working on or doing. They're like, I don't know what it's like in your head though. So they don't really understand the struggle with it. And the struggle is that there's always this tension between what should I be doing? What's making me happy right now? It's the shoulds and the coulds versus like where you're at in this moment, what's bringing you joy, and what helps you sustain that. And the only way I can sustain it is doing stuff like coming out here to Mexico City for 3 months, where I isolate myself a little bit. This is all super specific to me, right? And that's why I say, and like, it's a really hard learned and earned lesson because I can't tell you how many times I got myself into pickles where I was like, this isn't good. But this was, again, like very specific to my story, my journey. And I knew that I'm like, this isolation period, this period where I take myself out of the country, take myself out of the bubble that I'm living in work, and I go out and I experience things, and I kind of just let my brain be still. And I take my free time and I basically wipe it clean. I've been doing a lot since I've been down here right now. And I just basically told myself, as my boyfriend laughed, like, for the next 3 weeks until my parents get here, I'm doing nothing. I am doing nothing. There needs to be a moment of nothing, because I start to notice like, oh my God, I'm sleeping 10 hours a night. And I know that sleep is elusive for many people in this world, but I've always held it in the tippy top of priorities of my day, where it's like, I get 7 hours of sleep, ideally 8. I do not budge on it. It's why I don't have children. And so for me, I'm like sleeping 10 hours a day. I'm like, something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. And so that's when I'm like, I got to take a break. I got to do nothing. I got to stare at a wall, and let my brain just be. Unfortunately, that is when all of the ideas start coming. So it's like that tension. You have to learn how to live in this ground with it. You're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to recognize some signs. Time to take some breaks.
Okay, let's do a microburst topic. Describe your most restful, relaxing day. You wake up to head on the pillow. What's that look like for you?
Oh boy. Think about this for a second. I wake up, I drink a bunch of water. This is really specific, but I promise it's going somewhere. Drink a bunch of water, and then I start caffeinating myself, usually with some sort of tea. I like to take those moments as the break moments, so I usually will sit outside. So mornings are my thing, so I will wake up really early just so I have alone time, so I can charge up for the day. So regardless of anything, that is how my day starts, is like that. And then I take Dexter for a walk, usually before there's a lot of people on the streets, because crowds make me panic. Then I'm probably reading. Someone is cooking for me all day. Something that is very like bright and delicious. And I am, what is like a restful, relaxing? I mean, it's usually just walks outside. It's a ton of walks outside. I know it sounds contradictory, but it's that. And then it's usually a little bit of a museum. I'll always find myself in an art museum when I need to restore myself. It's just like a siren.
Love that.
I just get called back to the mothership. What about you?
Wake up naturally, like when my body wants to wake up, not we'll just leave it at that. Walk somewhere for breakfast, sit outside, read while I'm drinking my coffee, have something delicious to eat, go home, take a nap, get up, go to like a slow yoga class outside. It's like 70 degrees, 72 degrees. And then I come home and someone's cooked a really nice meal for me. In the afternoon after yoga, I go get a massage. Yeah. And then I come home, dinner, watch a movie, read a book, and then go to bed. Heaven.
I love how we're both like, someone's cooking for us.
Someone's cooking for us. Most importantly, someone's cleaning. Also, I walked into my house and it's clean. Someone's cleaned it.
Yeah. It's clean.
And the windows are open. I wake up and the house is clean. The windows are open. The breeze is blowing through. There's music playing. Did you have a music house? Like, did your parents play music all the time when in the house when you were growing up?
I don't remember it as a major memory, but we did listen to a lot of music.
My dad's like the soundtrack guy. Like he'll like set a mood for whatever room you're in or like whoever's around. And so I associate that with like a really relaxing summer day at home is there's just like music playing, the windows are open, there's a light breeze.
Yeah. He's a vibe curator.
He is. I think in another lifetime, my dad would have been like an amazing DJ. He is currently a very good DJ. But he also has a great DJ sense of humor that like he'll play a song that will make you laugh or like put you slightly on blast. It's great. He also is really into that song from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack that goes ooga shaka, ooga 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 shaka.
When can't you stop this feeling.
And your arms so tight,
hooked on a feeling.
Let me know everything's all right. I just want to take a nap.
Yep.
What
are you drinking?
I'm drinking iced coffee. I actually have to say, I think I did like a good balance of rest and work this weekend. And that's why I'm saying like, I'm in more of a microdose rest kind of state where, especially with my son, like I want to figure out how to be a very high accomplishing individual who like does a lot, but also I want Jasper to feel like I was always there with him, like focused and in the moment. So I think mornings are so important for that. And I do find that when I put everything aside to like go to the park with him, I find that I am able to be present with him, but like my brain is kind of churning on these ideas. And, you know, it'll often be like walking back from the park, pushing his stroller, seeing things through his eyes that I'll think about things in different ways. So I think like trying to figure out how it can be really difficult, I think, for people to think like, well, how do I set aside a period of rest? And I think if you can even just give yourself like a little like scooch aside in the day to be like, here's 10 minutes that I'm going to stretch my legs, walk outside. Like we've around the office, we're like, well, Raina, you said this, you said touch moss. And that has become like a little catchphrase. Jules, I'll like walk over and be like, does anyone want to touch moss? Has anyone touched moss today? And we'll just go outside. We'll do like one spin around the block and then come back. And I think it's like that micro burst of, okay, I got to take my brain offline. I got to stop looking at a screen and let everything just sort of like settle back in. And then you come to it with a fresh vision, which is so nice. But I think I actually did a pretty good job this weekend of like alternating work with, at one point I just laid on the ground and stared at the sky.
Yeah, like, those are the best moments. Those are the best moments. I think I would be happier. Hour last night.
Yeah, I think I would be happier if I lived somewhere where I could do that year round, because like it's tough in the winter to not feel like you can really do that. And people are like, well, just get out and walk around anyway in the snow. I'm happy for them that creates the same chemical situation in their brain. I am of the desert. I am not.
Yeah, you grew up in the desert.
Snow is recreation or it is chaos, but it's not relaxation for me unless I'm watching it from a fireplace with like a hot toddy in my hand and maybe a Scrabble splayed out before me, ready for my bon mots. You know, it's just not the same.
Yeah. That's what vacations are for. You can still go on vacation to somewhere warm.
Oh God, I want to go on vacation so badly right now. Like I want to sit and drink a daiquiri on a beach chair with like every fiber of my being. I don't know if I've ever wanted anything more.
I know. I think every time I walk past this like large pond in the park nearby, because for the record, I might be in Mexico City and people are always like, oh my God, it's so great, so relaxing. I'm like, I work a full-time job and I have other side projects I'm working on. I'm not vacationing here, but it is warm and it is beautiful. And every time I walk near this pond where all these geese are, I always think to myself, man, I'm gonna fucking give me one of these geese right now. Except like, you know, like a bit, I'm like, if I could have a net, like one of those natural pond, like pools that all links together. And there's like a swim up bar and someone's coming around the corner and he's like, Mallory, would you like some fresh pineapple? And I'm like, yes, please. And then they're like, here's a face mask. And I'm like, yes.
In this scenario, does this individual put the pineapple on a plate for you to eat or do they put it gently in your mouth?
Oh gosh. Well, in this scenario, I'm probably pulling it with my own hand, but I'm not going to say no to someone. I don't want to get my hand sticky.
I think it's a bummer that we like, okay, I get that we have a lot more rights now, but I do feel like there was an era where maybe at least one of us could be the kind of lady that got to splay out on a satay while someone fed us grapes. And I just think like, you know, that's not really something that happens anymore.
No, it doesn't. I would have been burned at the stake by the time I was like 16.
I definitely would have been a kitchen wench.
Ooh, yes. You
have
the dresses for it.
You know, I've got big wench energy. It's fine.
Yeah, it's correct.
It's fine.
It's correct.
Who am I kidding?
Big burn at the stake energy.
I wear contacts. I would have been dead in 45 minutes. Like
I think about that all the time. I'm like, evolution has served me well in this time period, for I would be dead if born any earlier.
Yeah, exactly. What else, Mal? Is there anything else that we haven't talked about vis-a-vis rest and creativity?
Maybe let's wrap her up on a note of you know, we talked about what our favorite or most ideal rest and relaxation phase would be, but maybe what's one thing you're going to do this summer to encourage that?
Oh, I am going to my cabin for the first 2 weeks in July, and I am putting every ounce of my energy into getting things done in June so that when I'm up there, I can like reinvent the deadly sin of sloth. Like I want people to be like concerned about how slow I'm moving. So I say that we're hosting like a big family camping trip. And I just want to be able to like really prioritize that time this summer to kind of recoup all of the energy I've put into like our business first, this book that I'm wrapping up, and this course that I'm doing. I'm trying to like prioritize getting all that stuff done now so that I can use time this summer to rest, knowing that, you know, I've done a lot of indoor time in the last couple, you know, of months, tapping away like keyboard cat.
Oh, indoor time.
Yeah. Love that. How about you?
I think I've got a bit of a summer ahead of me. So my thing is that I always like to plan ahead, like these chunks of time. And you know that around my birthday, that's always usually a time when I go away, and it's like a good natural break. So I think I'm like really going to plan some wonderful like trip away, somewhere super relaxing for like a week where I can just completely shut down and do nothing. That's what I'm gunning for. Until then, I will be taking my little breaks at the local pools here, and all that fun stuff. But and visiting my family, I get to do that.
Fun.
A lot of lake time.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Well, this has been great. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Barnes and Noble, Target, your local Jewel Osco.
Yes.
Bonds. No.
Yes.
Apple, Spotify, all the fun stuff. And we'll be back with more around creativity in this second season of No Surprises.
Whee!
Ta-da.